read it out whichever way is convenient, and then I can respond to that. And some of the statements of them may not require any response. They're only sharing their experience. That is also fine. The idea is to save the time because there is a time constraint. I have no time constraint, only from your angle. I am willing to stay as long as required. Uh, So the first thing is for only the answer, which is specific to the activity. Thereafter, we will be entertaining all the questions, all the statements, whatever they say, and I will encourage them also to disagree with me if they are not able to accept what I say, because that will make the discussion interesting. I will tell them I will not feel offended. It will feel free to speak out.
Sir, just one request. Don't enter into an area of agreeing or disagreeing. You give your whatever you feel like, that matter ends.
Yes.
Hello, Sarma sir.
Hi, Shesh. How are you?
Hello, Jitendra ji. Hi.
How are you, sir?
Yeah.
So when Santanam sir gives me the cue, I'll start.
Yes.
We have a couple of minutes to go. We'll wait and then I'll give you a signal.
2 minutes.
But it will be an interesting session, Sheshu. You have to handle it in a subtle way. More interactive.
Made it more difficult. It's not that the host will just speak and keep quiet till the end of the lecture. So he's made me a participant along with himself.
That's what I think. It's more informed. You have to handle it.
The host has to be on his toes throughout the session.
Right person for the right job at the end.
Yes. You can say it.
Mr. Ray, shall I address you as Shesh or Mr. Ray, what you're comfortable with?
Whatever is comfortable. I don't mind. Sesh is what everybody, all friends in Supreme Court call me Sesh. But
okay.
Whatever, sir.
So I also would prefer to call you Shesh if you don't mind. Yes.
Absolutely. Most welcome.
Yeah, without, and feel free to call me Sarma.
Sarma, okay. Right.
Though it is a surname, it is as good as a first name.
Right.
Yeah.
Shesh, you can say that there has been an interactive question answer session in earlier session that was only for a limited period. But since it's the last session, we are giving it a little more time. Don't say absolute.
I was proposing to introduce the template, as Sarma sir has said, right in the beginning. And then we will request everybody to be remain muted till we call upon them.
Yes.
Okay. And to write the first initial queries only on chat box.
Yes, that is good. Because this muting, unmuting and all will consume a lot of time.
So then, Sarma sir, if I've understood you correctly, there is no need for the participants to ask you a question. Let them only put it in the chat box. I'll ask the question.
Yes.
Then there's no question of muting and unmuting. Is that
correct?
correct?
The chat box, because after the activity is over, their responses will be one.
I think we have lost Sarma sir.
He will come back.
Santan sir, we'll have a meeting afterwards. Let them go out. We'll have a WhatsApp call. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, fine.
76 have joined. 77.
Let's wait for the guest speaker.
I'm sorry, there was a power failure.
Oh.
So for the generator to start, it took a little time.
Right, sir.
Now I hope I'm audible.
Yes, yes, you are.
Absolutely. And now you can start, Sesh.
Yes, yes.
All the best. Take care.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 10th lecture of Nivaran's 5th International Virtual Summer School. This time it has been very hectic for the last 10 days. We have welcomed all of you, all the participants who have joined us from around the globe to this interactive session in the summer school, which is now in the 5th year. Today, our guest is Professor A. Sarma. And before I call upon him, I just want to give a little bit of an introduction. Mr. Sarma is the founder director of Hyderabad Academy of Mediation and Peace Studies. He is the executive educator and collaboration coach. He enables his clients to learn to cooperate and collaborate through his training, coaching, and mentoring. Mr. Sarma is from the Indian Institute of Arbitration and Mediation and also accredited with Samadhan, that is the Delhi High Court Mediation Center. He received his training from the Indian Institute of Arbitration and Mediation and Standards and Competences in Mediation Advocacy in London, in Strategic Conflict Management from Singapore Mediation Center, in Conflict Assessment and Management at the Tata Nani Palkiwala Chair on Alternative Dispute Resolution of Sastra University. Mr. Sarma conducts leadership workshops for business executives, including top-level managers, entrepreneurs, parents, teachers, and educational administrators. His clients include MNCs, leading corporations of international repute in India, Denmark, in Oman, and besides law schools and business schools. He worked with Bartley Boy Limited for over 26 years in the field of industrial marketing. And then he left the company to build a full-time career in management, education, and training because he developed a passion for human relation skills, training, and public speaking. The focus in his workshops has been on human relations skill and conflict prevention and resolution, which made him to enter the field of mediation. Mr. Sarma negotiates for his clients. He conducts mediations and enables conversion of rivals into collaborators and foes into friends. The rewards are enhanced engagement of people, leading to increased productivity, resulting in higher profits. Mr. Sarma is a good counselor too. Many parents, adolescents, entrepreneurs, teachers, executives have benefited by his services. Mr. Sarma has spoken in national and international conferences and summits and had also been the moderator of a few of them. He was moderator of the International Summit on Mediation, The Path to Peace and Prosperity and Nonviolence, held in Dhaka in May and September 2018, respectively. He spoke in a few sessions in Africa Asia Mediation Conference held in Dar es Salaam. In September 2019, he moderated debates on demonetization and center-state relations held at the Constitution Club of India, New Delhi in 2017, with experts like Prashant Bhushan and Dr. Jayaprakash Narayan spoke. Mr. Sarma is the CEO of Life Skills India Training Private Limited, Chennai. Its flagship program called New Gen, which has been delivered for over 1 million student hours, is a specialized HRD program for school students. Tens of thousands of school children in India, the UAE, Bangladesh have benefited from this program, and he heads the education division of Nemas Software Solutions Private Limited, Hyderabad. He also teaches in the Indian Institute of Arbitration and Mediation and in Bangladesh International Mediation Society, of which he was its advisor during 2017 and 19. He heads the mediation cell of Litigators Prime Hyderabad. There is a very long introduction to Mr. Sarma, so you must have got a sense of the celebrated faculty that we have today. And before I introduce and hand over the mic to him, I just want to bring to everybody's notice that today we have a little slight change in the template. Mr. Sarma is not going to give a lecture for about 25, 30, 40 minutes. He will speak for about 10 minutes. And then he will conduct an activity which is sort of a drawing puzzle, where all of you will see a picture that will appear on the screen, which he will share. And the answer will be a number like 1, 2, 3, or 4. And he will request you to note it as an answer on maybe a piece of paper. After completing about 2 minutes or so, he will ask you to, post your answer on the chat box. And then as after a few answers appear in the chat box, then he will respond to that and he will give the correct answer. And that will lead to a discussion on the learning experience that is created therefrom. So that is how he wants to continue on this template. It will be an interactive session, and I will encourage all of you to participate and be part of this very interactive session. So I request Mr. K.S. Sarma, sir, thank you very much for being here with us, and we are looking forward to this session. Please take over from here.
Thank you very much, Shesh, for your very kind words of introduction. Good evening, my friends. It gives me immense joy to be in your midst, though virtually, and to interact with you on how mediation can enable the attainment of the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals. I thank Santan and Shirin Kajuria for creating this wonderful opportunity for me. Goal number 16 of the United Nations SDGs is peace, justice, and strong institutions. Mediation is the path to peace and justice. I repeat, mediation is the path to peace and justice. The more we progress towards the realization of this goal of peace and justice, the easier it will be to progress towards attaining the remaining 16 goals, namely no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, etc. The 17th goal is partnerships for goals, which involves deal mediation. There are teams and sub-teams working to achieve these goals. The productivity of these teams will be determined by their ability to work together, which is the biggest challenge that organizations face today. Strategy guru, the late Sumantra Ghoshal of the London Business School said, I quote, the bedrock of competitiveness ultimately lies in the behavior of people. To stimulate initiative, trust, commitment, and cooperation within the organization and in its relationship with suppliers, regulators, customers, and others, top-level managers are increasingly recognizing that the shaping and the embedding of organizational values are perhaps their most important personal challenges. Though he said this in the context of a corporation, the context of a business house or industry, it applies equally, if not more, to NGOs. There are disputes within teams, between the different stakeholders of organizations and between organizations, which gravely affect the productivity of people. Therefore, prevention and resolution of disputes is of paramount importance. Hence, the leaders working for the attainment of these goals at various levels need to know how to prevent and to resolve conflicts and how to stimulate initiative, trust, commitment, and cooperation. We will discuss today a few principles which enable people to work with others and to lead teams. These principles, very importantly, help us to achieve lasting peace and justice. The great physicist and Nobel laureate, Dr. Albert Einstein, was once asked, why is it that when the mind of man has stretched so far as to discover the structure of the atom, the same man has been unable to bring about world peace? It is a pertinent question in the minds of most of us. Yes, man is so intelligent that he was able to break the tiny atom apart into two pieces through the atom bomb that he made. Man is so intelligent that he landed on the moon and is now on the verge of conquering the outer space. But the same man has been unable to bring about world peace. The Buddha came, Lord Jesus Christ came, Prophet Muhammad came, Mahatma Gandhi came, but peace continues to be elusive. Why? Pat came the reply from Dr. Einstein. He said, that is simple, my friend. It is because politics is far more complicated than physics. Politics is far more complicated than physics. Yes, this politics within and between teams, between and within organizations and nations is far more complicated than any science. That is why Swami Vivekananda said, it is good and grand to conquer external nature, but grander still to conquer internal nature. It is good and grand to know the laws that govern the stars and planets, but grander still to know the laws that govern the passions, the feelings, the will of mankind. Though it is grand, difficult, and complicated, it is nevertheless possible to prevent and to resolve disputes and create peace if we follow a few principles which we will now learn through a process of experiential learning. As all of you may know, learning generally is of three types. One is scholastic learning, which we underwent in schools and colleges, where we learned by reading textbooks and by listening to lectures. The other is intuitive learning, where a person learns from intuition. And the third is experiential learning, where a person learns from one's own experience. Experience is the only source of knowledge, said Swami Vivekananda. But experiential learning is very, very expensive. Every time a person learns from his own or her own experience, he or she would have already paid a very heavy price for that. For example, somebody starts a new enterprise, makes a lot of investments into it. After 2 years, loses all the money and then says, I have now learned how not to run a business. Somebody keeps his finger on fire and then says, I have now learned that fire burns. If you and I are not keeping our fingers on fire, it's because somebody burnt his fingers and passed on that lesson to us. So we need to learn also from the experiences of other people. Now, for the remainder of this session, a considerable part will be devoted to experiential learning. But don't be scared. You will not have to pay any price in terms of mental agony, pain, suffering, or loss, because these are simulated experiences developed through well-designed activities. On the one hand, you will not undergo any pain, suffering, or loss. On the other hand, it will be fun-filled and you will enjoy. But at the same time, the quality, the value of learning from this simulated experience will be equal to that of learning from real-life experience, because what you will undergo now is also a real life experience. The only difference is that it is simulated by an activity. The activity is, as Shish had mentioned in the beginning, is in the form of looking at a picture and answering a question on the picture. I will now share the screen where the picture will appear. Are you able to see? Are you able to see the picture? Please say yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Now, it is a picture of a transparent cube. You can assume it is a glass cube on which a circle is engraved, which you are able to see, I hope. And there is a question with regard to the position of the circle on the cube. I will read what is appearing on the screen. Please see the cube in which there is a circle. Where do you see the circle? And 4 options are given. Now, I request all of you to look at the picture and read the question and read one option out to the other within yourself and choose the option that applies to you. It is not about the right answer or the wrong answer. It is about the question is, where do you see the circle? It is about where you see the circle, not anyone else. So don't consult anyone. You just choose the answer that applies to you. Suppose the first one is what applies to you. You can write in a piece of paper 1. Suppose second is applies to you, you can write 2. If it is 3, you may write 3. If it is 4, you may write 4. Suppose you are able to accept more than one of the one option. For example, suppose you are able to see 1 and 4, then you can write 1, 4. Suppose you are able to see 1 and 3, you may write 1 and 3. Or if it is 2 and 3, 2, 3. Suppose you are not able to see any option, you may write down nil. Suppose you are able to see all the options, you may write all. I will give you 2 minutes to arrive at your answers. And please note down in a piece of paper or remember yourself. And after I say start, you will post your answers in the chat box. Even if you have got the answer even now, don't post it in the chat box, because your answer will influence other participants. Only after I say post, you will start posting. And I will give you 1.5 minutes from now.
We'll request you to write only in English, please. We are seeing some responses coming in Hindi also.
Oh, let them not post in the chat box the answers now.
Yes.
Please wait. Please don't post now. Only after I say post, you please post it.
Okay.
Because your answers should not influence others. Your answers should not influence others, and others' answers should not influence you. It is about your individual perception. The whole activity is about perception. So you may start posting your answers in the chat box. So I will open the chat box. Oh, already 50 answers have come. Okay, I will just run through the answers without reading the names to save time. 1, 1, 3, 3, 3, 1, 2, 2, 4 at the center of the front panel. That number of the option that we will see. Okay, it is in the center of the cube. Okay, then 1, 2, and 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is Dornis Menon 1, 2, 3, 4 at the right hand corner of the tube, possibly maybe at the center of the two also. Then 2, then 2, third one, outside the cube, 1 and 3. Okay, I have, then Sakshi. Sakshi, Mahab, and Menon have chosen all the 4. Perhaps a few more are there, all the 4. That is Dilip Chetan, then Suvarna Jain. I will now read out only all the 4. Where is 5? Olson Memorial Church of God, you have written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I will consider it 1, 2, 3, 4. Then Advocate Savio 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, please give a big hand to all those who have written all the 4. Because all the 4 are possible. I now request all of you to strain your eyes and have a relook at the picture. I will share it again on the screen and see whether you are now able to accept the answers, the options, sorry, which you had rejected earlier. That is, those who had chosen 1, you see whether 2, 3, and 4 are possible. In the same manner, all the others, I will share the screen. Oh. You're able to see it?
Yes, sir.
Now I request you to have a relook at the picture, the glass cube, and consider the options which you had rejected earlier and see whether you can accept them now. I will give you some clues. There are 2 squares you can see on the screen. You call one square as A, B, C, D and consider the other square as A1, B1, C1, D1. If A, B, C, D is the front panel, A1, B1, C1, D1 becomes the back panel. If A1, B1, C1, D1 becomes the front panel, A, B, C, D becomes the back panel. So totally there are 2 options like that. And the circle, one is on the right hand bottom corner and another is in the center. So 2 plus 2, 4 options are there. If you strain your eyes, you will be able to accept them. And I request all of you to, all of you who are able to see all the 4 to post quickly in the chat box. And now I'm a little handicapped in technology, so I seek Seth's help. Can you read out from the chat box what are the answers coming now? How many are able to accept the options which they had rejected earlier?
The options that are now coming is all 4. One,
Ah,
two,
how
three,
many?
four, all four. 1, 3, and 4.
The one who has chosen 1, 3, and 4, please see whether 2 also you can accept. At the center, 2 is center back panel. It is about how you look at it, because it is a glass cube, a transparent cube. See,
Most of
actually,
the responses are 1, 2, 3, and 4. Again, there are some people who are repeating the same thing, which they had said
Okay.
earlier. Again, 1, again 2.
Okay. Yeah, any more? All the 4 accepting?
Yes, there are people still accepting all 4.
Okay. So others also will be able to accept all the 4 if they are given a little more time, which we don't have. So what I will do is this document I will share with you, and you can share with all the participants so that they can leisurely go through that. And also whatever slides I will present, I will share with you. You please share with all the participants.
Right.
Now you underwent an experience. So what do we learn from this experience? Let us forget the geometry part of it, the center and all that. See, all of you belong to, I would say, a homogeneous group. Most of you are lawyers, almost of the same age, almost similar educational background. But on a simple question, there were 7 opinions. A few said 1, a few said 2, a few said 3, a few said 4, a few said 2 options, a few said 3, a few said 4. Then between these 1 or 2 or 3 also, there were more options. So in other words, I created a dispute between all of you. There are 7 viewpoints. Now all of you tend to agree to one viewpoint, that all the 4 are possible. And it is a homogeneous group. All of you have a similar background, but on a simple question, there were so many differences of opinion. So what does it convey? I request you to give your responses. What does it convey? See, until 5 minutes ago, there were 7 opinions in a group of how many people? 150 people. And now almost all are agreed. If I give another 2, 3 minutes time, all of you will agree, because that is what generally happens. So what does it convey? Please post your answers in the
So
chat
the
box.
answers that are coming in, Sarma sir, is that it
Ah.
can be about all different perceptions.
Uh,
And is this signifying that there are more than one truth?
uh,
On the problem with multiple views, we got multiple answers, and reminded me of a movie called Vantage Point. And then being able to see through all perspectives and able to accept them. Then there is an application to logic. Perceptions differ. Response depends upon perception. Perception of everybody is different. How to see others. With time, perceptions change. Observation skills. All people have different perspectives, but a combined and conscious view will bring them at a right footing. It's
Yeah,
all
I will
in the
stop
mind.
here. Excuse me, I will stop here and then we'll see. Now, one important point that came up almost from many people are that all of us have different perceptions. And someone had mentioned about the balcony view. We should have a balcony view. That is what William Urey also emphasizes. And when you have the balcony view, you'll be able to accept all the 4. So one learning that emerges is that every one of us has a window on the world. I look at the world through window, and every one of you look at the world through your respective windows. As a result, all of us see different things. There is a saying, we see what we want to see, and we hear what we want to hear. And this leads to differences of opinion. Suppose I had not given this opportunity of making you to see, strain your eyes and see whether the options that you had rejected earlier, you can accept them now. Probably you might have been sticking to your views, and this could also lead to arguments. We have seen people saying in an argument, one person tells the other, can't you see? The man who is asking, can't you see, doesn't realize that he also is not able to see what the other person is seeing. So let us accept the fact that I don't see what you see and you don't see what I see. And when I strain myself to see what you are seeing, put myself into your shoes and see it from your perspective, then I may get a larger picture. And in the process, you will also be persuaded to put yourself into my shoes and see it from that picture. And now we will read the remaining options and then continue. Yes. Yeah.
The remaining options are that your perception is reality, which may be dispelled or changed with more information. The way we are seeing the problem, each person's perception is different. It is how and from where you are seeing the cube depends
Yeah.
the answer.
Now,
depends on
what
it.
beautiful point. Your perception is your reality. Yes. My perception is my reality. Your perception is your reality. So what I say truth, my truth is different from your truth. Beautiful point. Yes. Yes, you may continue.
Everyone is entitled to their truth, see from the other person point of view, and that's it. And the balcony view is the one which you've already had a look at.
Yeah. So one is every one of us has a window on the world. That is one. Second is the first way we look at something is not always the only or the best way. Uh, see, though you might have seen this picture for the first time, some frame like this you had seen long ago, and it had gone into your subconscious. That is why when a few of you chose one, a few of you chose two, a few of you chose three, because of the past experiences. The past experience is sitting in the mind and giving judgment on the present situation, which may be wrong. Because you had seen a picture which was very similar to option one. Now you tend to choose option one and you conclude that option one alone is right and the rest are wrong. So the first way we look at something is not always the only or the best way. And the more ways we can view a situation, the more creative we can be, and we can find solutions to problems. There is an old saying, the first impression is the best impression. Yes, the first impression is the best impression. If I have to impress somebody at the first meeting itself, if I impress him well, then I am at an advantage. I have an edge over the other person. But the first impression need not be the right impression. The first impression is the best impression, but not necessarily the right impression. I will tell you a simple example. In your career, you met somebody for the first time at a client's place or at your office, and you formed some opinion about that person. And after dealing with that person closely for 10 days, you changed your opinion about him. Has it not happened? Has it not happened? So the first impression need not be the right impression. Now, a lot of messages are coming. Should you like to read or shall I read?
Yes, yes, sir. I will. They are agreeing with your viewpoint. Most of the messages are saying yes. First impression lasts long. Some people are writing, and not necessarily the best. Now we will have change this to the first impression is one impression. That's all. So they kindly generally agreeing with your view on this.
Yeah. Now, I will present a slide which gives some learnings from this, which you have already said, but in different words, and we will expand on that. I hope you are able to see the screen. Dr. S. Radhakrishnan said, truth
Yes.
is many-sided. Different views contain different aspects of truth. See, sometimes you find saying that the truth is different. It is not so. The truth is many-sided. I see one aspect of truth. The other person sees another aspect of truth. This is a very powerful statement. If there is any one secret of success, it lies in the ability to get the other person's point of view and see things from his angle as well as from your own, said Henry Ford. If there is any one secret of success, it lies in the ability to get the other person's point of view and see things from his angle as well as from your own. So when we are able to do that, many of the misunderstandings could be dispelled. We will be able to understand better. And we will also see the person who is differing with us is actually offering something of value to us. So we need to see things from others' perspective. When I say others, it is something like this. If I'm negotiating with somebody, I should try to see it from his perspective. If I am talking to my boss, I should see it from his perspective. If I am talking to my subordinate, I should see it from his perspective. If I am the husband, I should look at it from my wife's perspective when I deal with her. If I am the wife, I should look at it from my husband's perspective. And when we do that, many problems can be solved. One. This I have already said. The first way we look at something is not always the only or the best way. The more ways we can view a situation, the more possibilities we will discover and the more creative we can be. Beware of expecting others to see what you see. See, this is the problem. I am able to see something, the other person is not able to see it, and he is seeing something, I am not seeing it. So if you try to find out what the other person is seeing, there could be a solution. Understand your unique window on the world. This I have already explained. Your view is subjective, partial, and likely to be distorted. It's a very harsh statement, but the fact remains that our views are subjective, partial, and highly distorted. See, even if my intention is to be 100% truthful, uh, there is a very high likelihood that what I think is truth is subjective. It is because of the past experience. I will just give an example. I started my career with the Indian Space Research Organization in 1971. On the first day I joined duty, my boss told me that his boss, who was my superior boss, had a prejudice about me. I was shocked, and therefore he advised me to be very careful while dealing with him. Then I told him, this is my first job and the first day, and moreover, I have not seen our top boss, so how could he have a prejudice about me? Then he got a little upset. Sharma, because you are young and you have just joined the organization, I wanted to guide you. It is up to you to accept my advice or reject it. No, I am accepting your advice. But if you tell me the reason, I can be intelligently cautious with him. Then he told me it has nothing to do with his knowing you or your knowing him. The story is different. There was a person by Sharma in this department. He was a very, very difficult person to deal with. And because of the problems that he created in the office, my boss did not get sleep on many nights. Fortunately for my boss, that person submitted his resignation 2 months ago and was relieved from service a month ago. And last 1 month, he is having peace of mind. But his peace of mind was disturbed last week when he received a note from the personal department, what we call HR today, those days was called personal department, saying that another Sharma is joining your department. The moment he saw that note, his BP rose and he screamed. He said, whenever they get a Sharma fellow, this personal department is sending him to me to take a life out of me. Why don't they distribute Sharmas to all the other departments as well? Let them also suffer. Why I alone should be suffering? Because a person with the surname Sharma was so difficult to deal with, he came to the conclusion that any person who has the surname Sharma will be a difficult person to deal with. I will now present a traffic episode on the screen, which conveys this. The name of the episode is The Pig and the Bitch. Mohan was driving fast on an upcountry road and he was approaching the curve to the left. There appeared a red Maruti Alto. It had come too suddenly out of the curve and he noticed that it was in trouble. The driver seemed to have lost control. The small car first appeared on the left, and in the split of a second it swerved to the right to be tossed again to the left towards him. He brought his left tires down onto the mud beyond the tarred surface to avoid being hit by the Maruti when he noticed that the driver was a lady. As the car drew near him, she put her bob-cut head out, Her face looked terrible, and she shrieked a lipstick-coated word, pig. Why did the lady shriek at Mohan? The fault was clearly hers. She kept going, oscillating between left and right, and to avoid a collision, Mohan went far to the left beyond the tar surface and avoided a collision. But instead of thanking him, she called him pig. Now let us see what happened next. Mohan thought in response to the shout, he could not take abuses like that without reacting in like manner. Made of sterner stuff, he always believed that things like that should be paid back with interest. Before the Maruti Alto passed by, he in turn put his head out and with a terrible expression on his face shouted bitch before she was not too far to hear. Why did Mohan shout at the lady driver? Very obvious. Tit for tat, she called him pig and he called her bitch. Now let us see what happens next. Mohan felt a sort of satisfaction at having given the lady what she richly deserved. It was in equal measure and equally spontaneous. By the time he took his head in and brought the left tires on the tarred surface, he was already at the curve. As he turned the wheel sharp to the left and was negotiating the curve, he hit a huge pig with the left of the bumper. The pig fell, and the car's left wheel jumped with a thud, and the hind left wheel followed to do the same. The pig squealed, and as Mohan's ears were pierced by it, he remembered the bob-cut haired, lipstick-coated lady and the expression on her face. Why Mohan did not receive the warning communication in his right sense? See, what happened was the poor lady was already in a highly confused state because the pig was running here and there and creating confusion. So she sincerely wanted to warn Mohan that the same thing should not happen to him. But she did not have the opportunity to, or the mental state to say, there is a huge pig, so be careful and all that. She just said pig, hoping he will understand there is a pig. But instead, he misunderstood that she was calling him pig. And he called her another abuse. So why did this happen? There is a background to this. About 1 year before this incident, Mohan had a bitter experience with a bob-cut-haired, lipstick-coated lady driver. That day, he came to the conclusion that all bob-cut-haired, lipstick-coated lady drivers are very arrogant. And added to that, that morning when Mohan left home and was about to board the car, he had an argument with his wife, and she called him pig. So that was already in his mind. So he thought that today one lady after the other is calling me pig. So this is the extent to which we get prejudiced, which lead to fight. Now another traffic episode, which also conveys the same point, reflect on this. A passenger tapped the cab driver to ask a question. The cab driver lost control of the cab, nearly hit another car, missed another truck, went off the road into a curve and stopped inches from a shop. For a minute there was silence. You scared me to death, the driver screamed. See, don't we do this to ask a question gently tapping the back of a driver? That is all this passenger did, but he lost control and created such a confusion. The passenger apologized and said, I did not know that gently tapping your back could create such a panic. The driver replied, sorry, it is your mistake. Today is my first day as a cab driver. For the last 10 years, I have been ferrying dead bodies in a van. Can you see how his past shaped the present? Our experiences are influenced by the past. So one has to be consciously aware. One has to be present in what is and not allow the past to shape the present. To be present in every moment is very important. This episode was taken from Swami Sukhabodhananda's book. Opinions are not right or wrong. They are only points of view. And when we understand this, we will never tell a man that he is wrong. Dale Carnegie says, never tell a man that he is wrong. Opinions are not right or wrong. They are only points of view. Beware of making assumptions about people's intentions. See, that is what happened to Mohan. He made an assumption about the bob-cut haired, lipstick-coated lady driver because he had a prejudice about such ladies. Again, see, for example, somebody cheated me 1 year ago. Today, I'm meeting a new person who has certain mannerisms similar to that of the person who cheated me 1 year ago. So I tend to think that this person also is a cheat. The truth is, he may not be. Explore different perspectives for richer solutions. This is what we do in mediation. The third prescription of principled negotiation: generate options for mutual gain. And we can generate options for mutual gain only if we are able to explore different perspectives. And when we say different perspectives, very importantly, it is the perspective of the people with whom we are dealing, who may have different backgrounds, who may have strong differences of opinion, but there lies our fortune. The person who has a different perspective is able to see something which I am not able to see because of my limited vision. So, if only I have an open mind and appreciate the differences, I will be able to find creative solutions to problems. Seek to understand rather than to change others. This will solve most of the problems. Many times we come to the conclusion that the other person is wrong, other person is doing the wrong thing, and we try to change him, and it boomerangs, it backfires. But instead of trying to change that person, if I try to understand that person, in course of time, I will understand also that there is no need for me to change that person. I need only to change my approach to that person. So when I change my approach to that person, I'll be able to deal with him happily. In fact, I can narrate an incident from my career on this. I had a good time with my bosses in an engineering company where I worked subsequently for a long duration. Except in 1985, a new boss came. And at the first meeting itself, he couldn't understand me, I couldn't understand him, and it ended in a stalemate. And thereafter, every time I met him, we had an argument. Then one of my colleagues told me, Sharma, the problem is this: you are very modern and professional, and all his predecessors were modern and professional, so you had a good time with him. This man is a banya. He understands only rupee anapai. All that you talk will not enter his head, and you also cannot understand his language. That is a problem. Then I boasted myself. I am modern, I am professional. He is a banya, he is a outdated person, and that is why we are not able to get along. But to my utter surprise and shock, I found after 3 months that a few other so-called modern professional young managers like me were having a good time with him. Then I asked myself, if they can deal with him, why I am not able to deal with him? Then I tried to, every meeting I tried to understand him. Then I understood that the mistake was mine. I was dealing with him in the same manner in which I dealt with his predecessor, who was a very different person. So the moment I try to understand where he comes from and understand his language and fine tune my language, which will reach him, then I also developed a good relationship with him. Then I asked myself, what is wrong in being a banya? After all, I am in business. A banya also has a lot of value to give me, which I may not know because of my knowledge. See things from the other person's point of view. This we have discussed. Now, let us look at the chat box and respond. I encourage.
Chat box, sir, generally the chat box has not given you any responses except for appreciating that what you're saying is correct. It is a excellent narration and identification of the problems in a different way. And some of the chat box messages are also appreciating what you say, like 6 can also look like a 9 from a different perspective.
Yeah. We need to learn to live in the present moment. Yeah, very good. Impatience leads to problems, push to things differently. Anyone has any clarification or has a different perspective? Yeah, I thank you for all your compliments, but I would also like to, so basically as mediators, biggest quality is to have an open mind, yes. But impatience leads to problems. Yes, Yeah, mindfulness is very important in mediation. We should avoid making perception about others. Would anyone like to unmute and speak?
Maybe you could just raise your hand or place that hand symbol and they will unmute you. Rahul, please unmute.
It's easy to understand
Datta.
others' views. I thank you. A lot of messages are coming of what they learned from this. Make a mutual decision. There is a question. How do we deal with crooks? From Reena Pujara. Shesh, you are also able to say,
I can see them. I can see the question.
yeah. So
There
how
are
to
some
deal
people,
with
sir, who are even raising their hands.
okay. I will do one thing. How to deal
Like
with
to ask
crooks
a
that I
question.
will
Rahul
answer
would
and then go to Monica Sarma. Yes. How to deal with crooks. See, again, crook is a perception. I think that somebody is a crook. So when I look at him as a crook, he will remain a crook. In management parlance, there is a procedure called the Pygmalion effect. I will explain what it is. John Adair, Britain's foremost expert on leadership training, says that in the world of management, many executives play Pygmalion-like roles in developing able subordinates and in stimulating their performance. Pygmalion was a sculptor in Greek mythology who carved the statue of a very beautiful woman that subsequently was brought to life. George Bernardshaw's play Pygmalion, the basis for the musical hit My Fair Lady, has a somewhat similar theme. The essence is that one person by effort and will can transform another person. I repeat, one person by effort and will can transform another person. There is an interesting scene in this play in which Eliza Doolittle explains, you see, really and truly, apart from the things that anyone can pick up, like the dressing and the proper way of speaking and so on, the difference between a lady and a flower girl is not how she behaves, but how she is treated. I shall always be a flower girl to Professor Higgins because he always treats me as a flower girl and always will. But I know I can be a lady to you because you always treat me as a lady and always will. See, Eliza Doolittle is a flower girl. Professor Higgins treats her as a flower girl. So to him, she conducts herself as an ordinary flower girl. But the other character of the play treats her as a lady, as an accomplished lady. So to him, she conducts herself as a lady. So what does it convey? The way others conduct themselves with us depends more on the way we treat them than what they really are. Stephen Covey says, the way you see them is the way you treat them, and the way you treat them, they often become. So if I treat a person as good, and he will become good in the whole process. Of course, we can take all the cautions, and as a result, and this Pygmalion effect has succeeded in many situations. I just give an example. You catch hold of a thief, give him a lakh of rupees, and tell him go and give it to Sharma at Hyderabad. I tell you, he will definitely come and give it to me because for the first time somebody has trusted him. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, trust men and they will be true to you. Treat them greatly, they will show themselves great. And also here, the first principle of the first prescription of principled negotiation applies. Sorry, the second one applies. Shift the focus from position to interest. The person whom I consider as crook, if I understand what his true interest is, I may be able to make him understand that through fair means itself, he can address that need, address that interest, because he thinks the position he has taken, the unethical way, is the only way. And that is what a mediator does when the parties are made to shift their focus from position to interest, that will happen. Thank you. Now, Monica Sarma, sorry I made you to wait. Monica, please unmute and speak. Monica Sharma, please unmute and speak. Uh, has she any difficulty in unmuting?
Rahul will request you to please unmute Monica Sharma.
Please unmute. Please unmute. Okay. We will do one thing. In that case, we will go to the next one. Uvarjit.
Kumud Lata Das, please. Please
Uh,
unmute Madam Kumud Lata Das.
yeah, please unmute yourself. Please unmute. Please unmute. All of you, please unmute. Otherwise,
You're
so
not, you're still muted, Madam. We can't hear you, Madam Kumud Lata Das.
otherwise, Erika, please unmute. Erika, please unmute. Erika Moon. Coach. No, they are saying that they are not able to unmute.
So, sir, I think the better way to do is that they may just put their query into the chat and I will read it out.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I can also. Okay, now Monica, Erika, Jimmy, John, please post it in the chat box. I'm sorry, I apologize to you for this. Oh, nobody, okay. Okay, until Rahul is able to unmute everyone, I request you to keep posting in the chat box so that we can save the time. Yes,
In
please.
the meantime, sir, there is a comment from Swati Pednekar saying that, sir, what you're basically trying to say that we have to change. But if that continues, then don't you think we become acquainted with compromising, wherein the other party who may be at the wrong footing continues doing what many times in a corporate world. Basically, what she's trying to say is that we will compromise, but the other party continues to be adamant at his own view.
Yeah. So there is a difference between being assertive and aggressive. What I am saying is being assertive, the sense that you are aware of your interest and you protect your interest. At the same time, you are trying to understand the interest of the other person and see whether there is a common ground where both could be met. And there could be. What we are trying to see is appreciate the other person's point of view. That doesn't mean that we are giving up. We are only trying to understand. Understanding and appreciating will not compromise our position. We can still be firm. That is why Voltaire said, you cannot always oblige, you can always speak obligingly. You cannot always oblige, you can always speak obligingly. So we are speaking obligingly, we are not obliging. But when it is necessary to oblige only, we will oblige. So to be constantly, when I'm constantly aware of my goal, my interest, and then trying to help the other person without compromising on it, I will reach a situation where he is happy, I'm happy. Thank you.
There is another
Yes.
query which says that how do we overcome the social constraints that impact the thinking of one's mind, affecting the decisions as we all have different perspective?
Can you read it a little slow? I couldn't
Yes.
get it.
The query is, how do we overcome the social constraints that impact the thinking of one's mind, affecting decisions as we all have different perspectives?
Exactly. In fact, this is a problem all of us face. William Wordsworth said, child is father of the man. So whatever I am today is because of the impressions gathered during my formative years when I was young. So all of us that way are victims in a sense, if I may use the word, that may not be the right word, of the environment in which we are brought. So if you are brought up in a good environment, we are beneficiaries. If not, we are at a disadvantage. So the question is how to overcome that. So when I realize that my mind is programmed, there is in me a virtual presence which is making me to act in these manners, I pause, look inward, try to understand and try to have a new perspective and understand also the perspectives of other people. So when I try to appreciate and understand the perspective of all the people with I am dealing, my own perspective will change. I will also realize that I am prejudiced. My mind is programmed. So it is about looking inward. This is mentioned in the Katha Upanishad. It may look a little philosophical or spiritual. I am not going into the spiritual philosophical aspect of it, the materialistic aspect of it. It says, the self-existent Lord fashioned the senses and the mind of man with the initial defect of an outgoing tendency. Therefore, man sees things of the external world, but not the self within. A certain wise man, however, impelled by his desire to seek for the immortal, turned the direction of the energies of his senses and mind inward and realized the immortal and divine inner self. So the Upanishad says that Lord God created man purposely with a manufacturing defect. What was that? Man is able to see things outside, he is not able to see himself. But a certain wise man, when he turned the direction of the energies of his senses and mind inward, he understood himself. So when we try to understand ourselves, how our mind is programmed, this is the background because of which I am behaving like this. I will be able to correct myself, improve myself in due course. That is why W. Clement, W. Clement said, every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. I see how I can be better. What are all the defects in me that I understand? Yes.
So there is a question that Monica Sharma has put on the chat box, which says, I agree that others cannot see the way you want them to see. But if results are not favorable and we want them to agree so that results are favorable, what should be our approach?
I couldn't get it. Can you read at a slow speed?
I'll repeat it. Monica
I'm
Sharma
able
is
to.
saying,
No, not necessarily. I will read it.
yes,
Monica Sharma, I agree that other cannot see the way you want them to see. But if results are not favorable and we want them to agree so that results are favorable, what should be our approach? Yes, very simple. See, uh, this is like mirroring. This is reciprocal. Suppose you are in a crowded bus and you are standing beside a seat and a stop has come and the person sitting is getting up. If you try to occupy the seat, pushing the person standing in front of you a little, and then what he will do, she will also push you behind. So, what is the best way to get the seat? You tell her, Madam, you please sit. Then I tell you, she will not sit. She will tell you, no, madam, you sit. In the same manner, if I have to make the other person to understand my perspective, the best thing is for me to understand his perspective, approach it. Then he becomes relaxed. Then he also, because all of us are in a sense mimics. Children are mimics. Elders also there is child in us. So the way you deal with the other person, in course of time, that person also will deal with you in the same manner in which you are dealing with that person. So when you appreciate his point of view, when you accept his point of view wherever you can accept, and look for areas where you can agree with that person, then a positive atmosphere appears. That is why Dale Carnegie says, when you are discussing with the other person where there is a dispute, look for opportunities where you can say yes, yes, or make the other person say yes, yes. For example, you and another person are doing a project, let us say, and both of you have strong differences of opinion, and you have to reach a decision you are not able to. Suppose you start the conversation like this. You pick up the points on which she will say yes, like this. See, we have to reach an agreement at an early date to solve this problem, isn't it? She will say yes. Similarly, in that project, whatever she can say yes, you say. And then slowly come to the points where you are not agreeing. She will find it difficult to say no because her tongue is accustomed to saying yes so many times. I hope I answered the question.
thank you, sir.
Since I'm unmuted, as I'm
Good.
unmuted, yeah,
Please.
I think I'm audible. Good evening. It's a pleasure, listening to you and hearing you. I was just, listening very carefully to the story and the expression pig and bitch and the misconception of perception. Because apparently, according to me, what the lady driver was saying was a visual of the animal that was in front. What was conceived was that she was abusive.
Yeah.
She was not. And therefore, the reply you know, the pitch was a direct, you know, a reply to her. So therefore, if we are talking about, you know, the midway or the change in the perception, it has to be much more than, you know, what we see and even at times what we hear. So it
Correct.
has to, there's a break between, you know, the understanding, that is the thinner line.
There
So
is much more than what we see and what we hear. We
exactly,
need to dwell deep into that. Beautiful point.
exactly.
Uh, uh,
So
and that is what a mediator does, no? Tries to digging and understanding the true interest, no? Is
yes,
exactly that.
yes. And second is not exactly, you know, the story that we are on right now, but you went to a very idealistic situation, husband understanding the wife and wife understanding the husband. Was it so, there would have been nothing called matrimonial dispute. It is, you know, that understanding is only till the matrimonial alliance. And there is also, I'm only, you know, confining myself to the matrimonial dispute in case we do. So it is somewhere we read that, you know, the task of the family judge is very difficult. There are two lies and he has to write a third lie. So mediation apparently is that way, I feel, a step ahead and much ahead, because here somehow we uncover the truth, you know, what is pent up. So it's like, you know, adding an antivirus to the junk which is in the mind of X, whether you part or you live. So that is what I would like to really hear you on that, you know, a bit elaboration on he stepping into her and she stepping into him.
I don't know whether I got you correctly. I will say, you can correct me if I'm wrong. What you're saying is, in a matrimonial dispute, see, in the normal level, husband wife understanding, seeing things from each other's angle is fine. But when there is a dispute, it becomes complicated, is what you're saying. Am I right? Am I
I mean,
right?
we are tainted in our view. So, you know, it's very easily said that you step here and she steps there, rather than, you know, what happens normally in a court of law. That is why mediation took an edge over. That somewhere the truth comes out or the cat comes out of the bag, if I can put it like that.
Yeah, yeah. See, the only difference is, in a court of law, we are trying to uncover the truth. Here in mediation, I believe, we are making the parties to understand the truth.
Yes.
See,
Yes.
what happens is, when in a matrimonial dispute, many times the dispute, the emotions are running so high that both the husband and wife have forgotten what exactly is their true interest and what they are fighting for. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Beware of what you want, for you will get it." So the first qualification to get something is to know clearly what one wants.
Yes.
Now that is what the mediator does. Make the husband to understand what exactly he wants, besides all the complaints he has about his wife. And same with the case of the wife also. And when they understand their true interests, a calmness comes. And the position they had taken earlier was what they thought was the only way to address their interest. Position is only one of the means of addressing the interest. So when they understand the truth, they get many truths, and they will say these interests can be easily addressed. I'm not saying in every case, in many cases, it is only due to the lack of understanding of the truth that it is carrying on. It may be very simple. For example, I will tell you one matrimonial dispute. The mediation started at about 3 p.m. and it went up to 9:15 p.m. Oh, yeah. And interestingly, the husband is a trained mediator from a university in Canada. So much so, jokingly, I'll tell you, at one point he told me, "Mr. Sharma, you are a mediator. Now what you did was not mediation, you were counseling me." Then I accepted, yes, you are right. I'm sorry because I'm also a counselor. I forgot perhaps. So he's so much a enlightened mediator. But
Thank you,
what
Kumar ma'am.
happened?
There is, sir, may I just, did I interrupt you? You may complete if you would.
Please, you may interrupt, yes.
So there are quite a few questions coming up and we want to hear your perspective on all of them. There is another
Okay,
question.
so I will finish this quickly. In that case, I will finish this quickly. So
Yes.
what happened was, then, see, he had taken a position, a stand to address his interest. And because of that, it had reached the question of divorce. It was a very simple thing when I made him to understand that what he was interested, he could do, even agreeing to what his wife was wanting him to do. So they agreed, and thereafter they lived together. Unfortunately, he passed away about 6 months ago. Okay, so therefore it is possible. Only thing is when we have to become creative, explore options, see things from different perspectives. Then we will see yeah, solution hidden in the problem. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, now Sesha, sorry, Sesha. Yeah, you may ask
So
the
there
question.
is a very interesting question that keeps coming up in every mediation, and at the risk of being repetitive, I must ask this again. As parties to mediation have different perspective, how can a mediator deal with this situation for a win-win end or agreement? This
Yeah.
is Advocate Modi from South Sudan.
Yeah. See, win-win agreement is possible even when there are different perspectives. As I said, different perspectives will add only value to the settlement agreement. They are not a disadvantage at all. If two parties have the same viewpoint on everything, both of them may land in a ditch. But when they have different perspective, they will be able to explore. Now, William Urey, the co-founder of the Harvard Negotiation Project, which is at the heart of facilitative mediation practice, he narrates a simple episode that happened in the college library to drive home this point. Two students were fighting in the library. The librarian came over there and asked the student A, what is the problem? He said that window was kept open. He went and closed it. I immediately went, sorry, the window was kept closed. I'm sorry. He went and opened it. Immediately, I went and closed it again. He went and opened, and the fight started. Then she asked the student A, why do you want the window closed? He said, it is creating draft. Air is creating draft. Papers are flying. I'm not able to take notes. Then she asked the student B, why do you want the window open? He said, I want fresh air. Then the librarian asked both the students, is there a way by which we can get fresh air without it creating draft on the table? Think. Then one of the students said, I have got an idea. He went to the neighboring room where there was a huge window. He kept it open. As a result, there was air circulation, but the air was not hitting the table and creating draft. Now, this may be a very simple problem, and there could be various solutions, keep a paper weight, etc. But why he is narrating this is to understand that when it appears that both the parties have different interests, also there could be a common ground. Now, student A also was benefited in the process because he was earlier foregoing fresh air for the purpose of ensuring that draft is not created. Now he has got fresh air, and both of them are happy with what they were doing. So this is an example. So therefore, when we go see, when we take position, there is a conflict. I think I don't know how to say this, but just for remembrance, position is what people say they want. Interest is why they want what they want. So when we go into why they want what they want, many times we will see that the interests are not antagonistic. They can live together. They can go together. Thank you.
So there are your program has been so well received that we are going on receiving questions, and we've already gone over an hour, but I will take one more question. And I will also request Erica to please put it in the chat box since they haven't yet unmuted you. This question comes from Shirin Khajuria. She's a senior advocate, and I'll read it very slowly.
I have been unmuted. I have been.
Can I just take this? Would you like to take? Erica? You can go ahead. Then I'll take this question.
Thank you, because afterwards I wouldn't be audible. So I'm using this amazing opportunity. Namaste, Sharma ji. Thank you so much. Namaste ji. Aap kaise ho?
Fine, thank you.
Bariya, thank you. Sharma ji, I just would like to confirm that I completely agree with you with your philosophy and your approach towards if you're treating someone as Fulvali Lati, or if you are treating someone as Lati, they would become Lati. So obviously, if you treat people well, they would be good. And if you treat someone good, they would become good. And I truly love your reflection of Upanishad being a sort of reflection of the social pathology in our society, that the Upanishad is reflecting on the social pathologies we are facing in West, in East, everywhere, in Africa, Pan-African continent. So everywhere around the world, I do completely agree with you that Upanishad is reflecting on the social pathologies which are appearing in our society. I just wanted to thank you for your kind time and for your reflection. It's very, very enriching.
Thank you,
Thank
Erika.
you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
Thank
you.
you.
Sir, if I may just take one more question
Please, please.
from
I
Shireen.
am
from
available. I am willing to stay back.
She asks, is it correct that in mediation we don't need to find the truth, but only the interest of the parties, and where the interest overlap is when settlements can happen?
Yes, I agree with you. Because a mediator is not supposed to find who is right and who is wrong. I believe that a mediator need not even try to find what is right and what is wrong. I believe that is not the business of the mediator. And then he becomes a judge. The business of the mediator is to make the parties to reach an amicable agreement. So if and number one and number two, in mediation, the parties only are taking a decision, not the mediator. So it is not very much necessary for the mediator to find out what is truth, what is right, what is wrong, and all, and then sit on judgment. Then the whole process will get affected. And moreover, focus is important. The focus is on agreement, and how that agreement will come. The first step is both the parties should must understand their respective interests. Many times people don't know what they really want. It may look funny, but the fact remains. And then make them to understand each other's interests. And then they will find a whole lot of opportunities where they could work together and achieve their goals. I can cite a few examples, but that may consume time, but that is definitely possible.
Sir, one last question. I think Monica Sharma has.
Excuse me, one more point. Earlier also, someone mentioned about uncovering truth. See, mediator is not trying to uncover truth. Mediator is making the parties to understand the truth. It is not that mediator is trying to investigate or find anything. If the parties can be made to understand the truth, and they will reach a solution. Yes. Thank you.
So thank you very much. I think we have already overrun the time that was allotted to us. And any other people have questions, we'll be happy to forward it to Mr. Sarma, and I'm sure it will be responded to. And
Yeah, sure. You can
and-
even share my email ID with them or
Sure.
WhatsApp, and they are
Right, sir.
open.
We will do that. So thank you very much for this. And in these 10 days in the summer school, this is the 5th edition of the International Summer School. We have had a full gamut of number one, starting with scholastic learning, intuitive learning, and today sir has completed the entire circle with experimental learning, experiential learning. So experiential learning also is what we as lawyers, we know, we learn vicariously from each other's experiences, because we obviously cannot have all the experiences ourselves. One of the important things which I think Sir's topic was today, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and Mediations. And just to dovetail what was this experiential learning, that in the United Nations Sustainable Goals, Development Goals, there are 17 goals. And they may all appear to be falling under the domains, different domains, like, economics, technology, research, etc. And one may tend to think that out of the 17 goals, there is only one goal, goal number 16, that is peace, justice, and strong institution alone is related to mediation. But then here is where the cube comes in, where Sir put it here that, however, if we dive deep into each one of them, we will see that the effective mediation can accelerate the attainment of all the 17 goals. Sir, I hope I have got the perspective correct in the manner in which you have dovetailed the experiential learning today with respect to your topic on the sustainable development goals. Thank you very much for attending this summer school. And before I sign off, tomorrow is the closing ceremony. And for the closing ceremony, we are going to have our chief guest, Justice K.V. Vishwanathan. And there will be two guests of honor tomorrow, Mr. Gregory Vijendran and Mr. Hassan Irfan Khan. And it will be, of course, moderated by Ms. Shireen Khajuria, who is a senior advocate and mediator in Delhi. And the welcome address will be from Mr. J.M. Sarma, who is also the Vice President of Nivaran. I must say that it was, a very, very intuitive learning, the way you put it through the cube, through the story of the pig and the bitch, the passenger and the cab driver, which was both funny and something which is a memory we will always take away. And thank you all participants for being so enthusiastic in the last 10 days. And we will look forward to seeing you tomorrow again for the closing ceremony. Please be with us tomorrow as well. Thank you, Mr. Sarma. Thank you, everybody. And before I say a complete bye, I have to thank Mr. Rahul Kumar and his team that makes this event go flawlessly, because without their help, it is absolutely impossible to do this entire technological thing, because we people are not so technologically advanced. Rahul has been giving us all the support not only over these last 10 days, 11 days, and even tomorrow, but over these number of years. So thank you, Rahul. You're the hero behind the screen. And thank you, everybody who has put their efforts into here and everybody who has participated. Thank you, sir, for the new template. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shesh. Thank you, Mr. Sarma. It was a wonderful talk and very
Thank
interesting.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. An interested audience is the greatest inspiration for a speaker, which I got in all of you. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes.
A very participative audience, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shesh. It must have been very difficult for you to continue with such an interesting and keep the time limit. Shesh, thanks.
I
Thanks
was
for
not
managing the
opening
show.
one bit with the number of examples that came up. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
maintaining.
Looking forward to seeing everybody tomorrow.
Sure, sir. Sure. All the best. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.